Hello, and what this is the inaugural episode of Talkin Tigers with Chandler from Auburn TFC. Um, for anybody that doesn't know me, I am Chandler. I run Wardang Sports on X as well as the Auburn Tigers TFC affiliate account also on X. And um, I've been wanting to start this show. I've been wanting to start an A show for a while, and I finally got the means to do it. I have been an Auburn fan my entire life. I've had family that have been athletes there. I've just been raised around the orange and blue for my entire life, and I love talking sports. So, thought I'd put together this show. And today, not probably not going to be too long. I just wanted to start off on this beautiful 4th of July weekend and talk about our schedule, talk about a little recruiting, and some of the things that I see in this upcoming football team. Not a whole lot of in depth just yet, but yeah. So to start off, the 2026 Auburn Tigers football schedule will open up with the Aflac kickoff game against the Baylor Bears. Last year, we went to Waco, Texas to take on the Bears and came out with a pretty convincing win thanks to just the establishing the running game and a great return by Rayshawn Pleasant. But really the story of that game was the rushing game from the Auburn Tigers. Jeremiah Cobb and Jackson Arnold both rushing for over 100 yards. And, that was like the first and only time that season you really saw a Hugh Freeze offense find something that they were good at and continue to do it and try to, lack of a better word, run away with it. And with this game, there's a lot of good storylines going on, with it being the Aflac kickoff game, the beginning of the Alex Golish era and on the Plains, and for it to be on a national stage like that is perfect, in my opinion. For the first win of an era to be potentially the first win of an era to be on a national stage like that would just be amazing. The last time you've seen the Tigers on a kickoff game like that was in, I believe, 2019, when the Tigers beat Oregon, the Justin Herbert led Oregon Ducks off of a game-winning drive touchdown. That was just an incredible game. But coming back in 2026 to the Aflac kickoff game, the Tigers come in with just a completely different look than anyone would expect. If you had said told them at any point in the past few years, this is a completely different team, completely different culture that's around the Auburn Tigers right now. Alex Golish has definitely instilled in his players. Last year, in the past few years with Freeze, you've kind of seen a blank check attitude. Come here, we get all the big names and then figure out the development later. Whereas here, it's if you don't want to be here, don't be here, because we're going to work you hard and we're going to develop you. And that's a culture that has really just been missing from Auburn sports in a while. A winning culture, a tough culture like that, the hard-nosed nature of the Auburn community and Auburn family is finally being recognized by the football team once again. And I see no better example to display this than, like I've said, a national stage. Another storyline with this is Bryson Washington, second string running back for the Tigers, is a former Baylor Bear and played last year. And this is a good chance to, get your blood flowing, get a little revenge game going. And I definitely see Washington getting a ton of playing time, a lot of carries, some catches perhaps. I believe in 2 seasons ago, he had over 1,000 yards rushing and over 200 yards receiving. So very good backup back you have there. But really, when it comes to the rushing game, you have the man who just dominated on the field last year was Jeremiah Cobb. Had a great game, and Jeremiah Cobb being one of the few light spots for the Tigers on last year's offense. Jeremiah Cobb, who very well could have transferred, has chose to stick with the Tigers, stick with this new regime, and come back hoping for a great season. And I think Cobb will definitely be still getting the kind of touches and playing time that he had last year, but definitely a much more spread out offense than last year. This Alex Golesh offense is definitely going to be a spread offense. You're not going to have one person like Cam Coleman who's going to have like 200 more yards than anybody else receiving, or someone like Jeremiah Cobb who dominated the rushing game. You're not going to have something like that. What you are going to see is you're going to see someone like Jeremiah Coger get 150 yards, and then someone like Keyshawn Singleton, he's going to get 100, and then you're going to see someone like Sam Turner come in for a few clutch. He's fast runner. He can come off of a jet sweep or come in the backfield off a screenplay. You're going to be very spread out, and all with that, you're going to have one of the marquee quarterbacks in the SEC right now, in his first year in the SEC, Byron Brown. Byron Brown, a lot of people have been equating him to some great rushing quarterbacks of the past. Like I have heard some people say that we're gonna see him have the kind of play over the team that Cam Newton. I wouldn't agree with that, because Cam is a completely different, I guess, kind of archetype than Byron. But anyway, Byron Brown is going to be vital to the success of this football team, not just because he's the quarterback and the one where the ball starts, but really where each day, each snap, each series is going to go. It's going to start with Byron. It's going to start with his incredible running ability as well with his ability to pass. And that is the beautiful thing about this offense, because you have so many pieces. No one's like your standout guy. I mean, I could name Jeremiah Coger, Keyshawn Singleton, Sam Turner, Christian Neptune, Chaz Nimrod, Bryce Kane, all receivers who have the ability to go off at any point or have great games at any point. Whereas, or you have in your running game, you have Jeremiah Cobb, you have Bryson Washington, you have Omar Mabson, you have some reserves behind them that definitely have a lot of upside. And then you have a quarterback who's running this whole show who is not one-dimensional. Because I don't think, like, if you started someone like Ashton Daniels, if he was still here, or if you started someone like any pocket passing quarterback, really, just any pocket passing quarterback would not work well in this system, because you have all these volatile players. Anything can happen, and then you have a quarterback who's only good at one thing. That would not work in this offense. That would not work with this Alex Golesh offense right now. Byron Brown is the perfect quarterback for this situation due to his amazing just the way he can use his legs, and he's not one of those guys who's frankly like Jackson Arnold was, who he had a decent running ability, but he would more often than not run out of bounds. Where like you saw a little bit more with Peyton in the Peyton Thorne era, he would try to run through some tackles from time to time. Byron Brown is gonna he if he needs to protect himself, he will, but he also has that ability and has that want to get 3 points of contact on that ball and then run through a person's face. And it's that kind of energy and that kind of just hoorah that the Tigers and the Tigers fandom need. It's exactly what is needed at this point. At this point in the lore of this Auburn football team. And I do definitely think that this game will be a win. This first game in the Alex Golesh era will be a win against the Baylor Bears. Can I predict a score? No, I cannot predict a score right now. It is just, it's too hard to say. It's too hard to say because we know that this spread offense has the potential to be great in multiple different facets of the game, but we don't know exactly which one it's going to be because, like I said, the volatile nature of this offense, you're going to see a lot of different game plans and a lot of different ways to win or lose football games. But I think you come out of here with a win, and I think it's going to be pretty convincingly. In your first home game of the season is against Southern Miss. I will actually be at this game, and hopefully I can get some clips at the game. I'm just really excited to see the first home game of this era. There's going to be some, like, you can imagine, you can go back to Cadillac Williams, Coach Cadillac's first game being the interim coach, a team that had no business having a sold-out stadium. And that game is one of the most powerful, one of the most just intense energies that you could see on a football field in a stadium. Imagine with how much hope the team and the fandom have right now, the energy in that stadium at Jordan-Hare Stadium is going to be elite. And words of Nick Saban, that place is haunted. Well, there's going to be a lot more demons going on that field as of late and here in the future. And I can't guarantee anything, but I can say that this is going to be a very convincing Auburn win to go 2-0 in their first two games. Starting off the conference slate is Florida, and this is a night game. It will be a 6 p.m. kickoff. It will be the last potential night game of the season. There are a lot of storylines with this game. John Sumrall, who was originally the top candidate for the Auburn job, turned us down for Florida, and then 3 hours later, at like 1 o'clock in the morning, we got Golesh. And I think with this kind of game, with the kind of, I guess, I'm not saying there's adversity right here, but I am saying that, Sumrall has a Sun Belt Conference title under his belt with Troy, and, Alex Golesh has none. And that was kind of held over Golesh's head when people were trying to reason with, like, this is why Sumrall chose, or this is why John Sumrall is better than Golesh, and trying to hang that over Golesh's head, which is, with a stone cold killer like Alex Golesh, you've seen just the attitude that he has. It's not hanging something over his head is not a great idea, because he's gonna try to get it back in blood. And I think that's what happens here. I think this could be a defensive slugfest or an offensive shootout. But by any means necessary to go 3-0 right here, get your first conference win against Florida. This is not one of the bigger rivalries, but this is especially more so in basketball. But Auburn and Florida do not like each other. And right here, I will say that I think the Gators are coming in to Jordan-Hare, but no, they will not win. This will be another 3-0 start for the Tigers, except right now, at this point, you already have a good win over Baylor and on a national stage, and a good win against Florida, your first conference opponent. And after that, the next game will be Vanderbilt coming into Jordan-Hare Stadium, a team that will be starting true freshman Jared Curtis at quarterback. Now, in the past few years, you've seen a Vanderbilt team that was not just led, but downright carried by Diego Pavia. And you have an offense where, you send your receivers have a somewhat of a plan, but really it's just Diego, here's the ball, go figure it out. Where now you have a true freshman, a very highly touted and highly capable and skilled freshman quarterback, but still a true freshman in the SEC. That combo has worked in the past for some, but also has been detrimental to not just some seasons, but some careers in the past. And I just think it's all too much. At this point, you're 3-0, you're riding high, and that stadium, like I said, is just going to be electric. And I just don't think that, yes, a very highly skilled, but still a very young and inexperienced quarterback in Jared Curtis, I just don't think he's going to be able to handle it. And at this point, you're 4-0, 2 conference wins under your belt. At this point, you're most likely ranked against I can't remember if Tennessee is he's around the 20 to 10 range, that area of ranking. But this will be absolutely a ranked battle in Neyland when your Auburn Tigers travel to Neyland Stadium to take on the Volunteers. I will also be at this game with some family, and trust me, with the intentions of this game, the storylines with Golish being the former offensive coordinator, ooh, this is going to be a fiery game. I expect Neyland to be as loud as it ever has been. I also expect for the Tigers to come in unafraid because there's blood in the water with this game. Not just on one side with, Golish wants to prove that he's better, wants to get some revenge, but also with Heupel in Tennessee wanting why would you leave us? The obvious storylines within this game are intense and are powerful and are exciting to think about and to watch. And at this point, I see this game going into overtime. Maybe not just one, maybe not two, maybe up to 3 overtimes. But this game is going to be intense. It's going to be back and forth. And it will be decided by less than 7 points. 7 or less points. It will not be decided by 2 scores. However, I do think it will be in favor of the Auburn Tigers. I think that this game is going to be great on both sides. However, I believe in Auburn a lot more than I do Tennessee right now. And so at that point, you're 5-0 coming off of a ranked win going into your bye week. And at that point, you just got to win the bye week. Get rested. You just got done with your pretty big home stretch of the season. You got to get mentally correct, mentally right, get right in your head that you're about to go on the road to a dangerous team in Athens. And like I just said, week 7, you will be traveling to Athens, Georgia to take on the Bulldogs in the Deep South's oldest rivalry. And boy, it's tough to say, but this will be a loss, and it will be a very obvious loss. The Bulldogs, ever since getting over that championship slump, have just been a buzzsaw, have been insane. And to an effect, I just don't think there's any chance he win this game. Now, do I think it's going to be a blowout? No. I don't think it's going to be any kind of blowout. I don't think it's going to be any kind of domination like we've seen with this rivalry in the past. But I do think that this is going to be a loss by up to 2 scores. And that being 5-1 in this stretch where you've already won 3 conference games, you have 5 wins, you're sitting really nice going into your next home game against LSU. The Louisiana State Tigers will be coming into Jordan-Hare with, this is a game that, all these games for the rest of the season are going to be either noon or midday kickoffs. And normally those LSU Auburn games are the kind of games that are like at 6 o'clock or 8 o'clock, or late games, are gritty. Like you have that viral clip of Bo Nix just, weaving in and out, throwing a great pass. And then you have just constant gems of games in this Tiger Bowl rivalry. There have been just some insane moments between these two teams, between these two Tiger teams. And at this point, I think it's going to be another loss. I just don't know. I don't see there be any way where you go through this first 7-game schedule and you be 6-1. I just don't see it. At this point, I believe you're going to be 5-2 with 2 losses against 2 good teams, 2 definitely good teams who deserve to win the games, and that touches on a topic that I'll discuss later. But at this point, you're 5-2 going into week 8 or 9, going to week 9, and you go to Oxford, Mississippi to take on the Ole Miss Rebels. And Pete Golding, now can you credit him for what happened with the college football playoff? I don't know. You had, to relate it to Auburn, was Gene Chizik really that good of a coach, or was he just riding on the coattails of Cam? Is Pete Golding really a great coach, or is he riding on the coattails of Trinidad Chambliss, a exemplary quarterback? I don't know. I can't say for sure. But what I can say is that the threat of that being a reality is there. It is most certainly there. Though, you're in Oxford I will say Ole Miss has a great home environment. Trinidad, you have no idea how good he's going to be at this point. You don't know if he's going to be just continuing the development from this past season, or is he just going to flop and, or not flop, but just is he going to be able to reach those heights again? I don't know. But regardless, Ole Miss has something great going on there. Pete Golding I do believe that has the ability to be a good coach. His defenses have been great, and at this point, I think this is your third loss in a row on this skid. And at this point, you're 5-3 with a three loss streak going into your second to last home game against Arkansas, which is not a bad space to be. But this is a point to where you have to take a moment to lock in, like, hey, we started off great. We're not disregarding that, but that's in the past. We want to continue to get better under this new regime, under this new leadership, and we're in a 5-game losing streak. So you go back home against the Arkansas Razorbacks and absolutely throttle them. That is the best case scenario at this point. You're riding pretty low after these 3 straight losses that I don't think are going to be blowouts. I don't think Alex Golesh is going to be the kind of coach to allow his teams to lose big. I don't think he's the kind of coach that would accept that. However, I do think that Arkansas, the Razorbacks, will be coming into Jordan-Hare, will be walking into a fire. Will be walking into a kiln with the door closed right behind them, and I think that's going to be a great get-right game for the Tigers going into your second to last away game in Starkville. In Starkville, they'll be taking on the Mississippi State Bulldogs for one of the last games of the season. You're getting closer to reaching the end, and you're searching for that bowl, or you're not searching for bowl eligibility, but you're searching to cement your status as a good team not just in football, but in this conference right now. And I'm not the biggest fan of Mississippi State. I'm just going to say that, but I will say that this will be this has the makings of a good game to watch. However, I think the Tigers win by up to 2 to maybe 3 scores right here. I don't think a loss is in the cards right here. I know CBS Sports on their list had some things similar to mine, but they had Mississippi State going 4-8 with their only conference win being against Auburn, and I just don't think that's possible. I just don't think the Bulldogs have it in them to beat the Tigers at this point. And right here, you're 7-3 going into your last little cupcake game when Samford comes to Jordan-Hare, and no conversation needed there. Now, I do think Tristan Tia will get some playing time. You'll see some of your backups get some good playing time to rest those starters going into the Iron Bowl, but it's Samford. We're paying you money to get your butt beat. Let's get it. And after that, you have your marquee game of every season, the Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Oh, I want to win this game so bad, but the history of the Tigers in Tuscaloosa has not been great as of late. Now, do I think that we will win this game? Completely honest, you're 8-3 going into this game. I don't believe so. I don't think that I do think it's possible, but I don't think it's likely that the Tigers can come into this situation, coming into Tuscaloosa, and win this game. Now, do I think there's a path to winning? Absolutely. Keelan Russell has shown flashes of being a good quarterback in this conference, but it depends. I think a lot of Alabama, I'm not in a lot of Alabama circles, but I will say I think a lot of their success is going to bank on Keelan Russell and Ryan Williams. And off of Ryan Williams' season this past year, they're not looking to be too great. Now, does Keelan Russell have the chance to be good? Yes, but I think it's going to depend. If the Tigers can win this game, it's going to depend on how Alabama is at that point. But regardless, you're going into a place where you haven't won in a very long time. And I think you just pick up that final loss of the season. Now, it's not going to be a blowout. I think it could even be decided by 7 or fewer points. Who knows? Though, at this point, you're 8-4. That is an amazing start to a new era with just, I mean, you haven't had a season like that since like 2019, where you win 9 to 10 games, I believe. And at this point, you are 8-4 going into a bowl game. If you pick up that bowl game victory, you're sitting 9-4 in the first year of having a new head coach. That is amazing. And even if you go 8-5, that's 8 wins to start off. That is an amazing place to start. And at this point, you're 8, and at this point you can go into the offseason being comfortable with, okay, you've shown what you can do. You've had a good conference schedule, a positive conference schedule at that, and now you can go recruit, get the players that you want, get the transfers that you want, and reload to, everybody's saying this is just the USF Tigers. You have a lot of USF players coming in. Well, if this season goes how I expect it to be, you're going to come in having a lot of talent. And I'm about to get into our talent with a couple thoughts on our recruiting right now. But real quick, I have, just to go back over, I have a win against Baylor, Southern Miss, Florida, Vanderbilt, and at Tennessee, and then a three-loss skid of at Georgia versus LSU and at Ole Miss. And then I have another 3 wins with Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Samford, and then the final game of the regular season being a loss to Alabama. And then who knows where you get into that bowl game? Who knows where you'll be? However, that is a great place to start. And at that, it's a good season. It's a great season to do. You're really sitting there wherever you, and you're sitting really nice for anything you want to do at that point. And right now, I'd like to just take a moment to thank and appreciate my sponsor, Barner Supply. They have a great selection of hoodies, hats, cups, shirts, a lot of stuff. And all the things that I've gotten, right now I'm wearing my Barner Supply hat. They have it's a great hat. I've had this hat for a few months now, and I haven't been able to find a single mark on it. They're durable, they're comfortable, and a lot of the time I have problems with hats is, like, for example, I have a Birmingham Stallions hat right here that the thing on top, whenever I wear headphones with hats a lot whenever I'm doing my outside work, or I'm taking a run, or I'm training for college. This hurts. Right here hurts. But the thing is, just how these hats are made, it's much more comfortable, and it sits perfect on my head, and I'm sure it'll sit perfect on your head. Go to barnersupply.com to pick up any of your Auburn needs. Going into the recruiting trail, the Auburn Tigers 2027 recruiting class sits at number 9 with 25 total commits, 10 4-stars and 15 3-stars, headlined by players like Isaac McNeil, Myson Johnson-Cook, James Pace, and Deshaun Hall. And then you have some more underrated pieces like Cedric Simmons, Jalen Moore, and Nasir Banks. Now, there are a lot more names I could be calling right now, but I'm just going to say a couple of the names that I like right now are Isaac McNeil is who I'm going to start with. That is a linebacker who can stretch the field from one end to the other, and at any moment's notice can boomstick a guy at any point. He can do great in stuffing the running game, or can drop back, have to sit back. If he just has that. I can't really explain it because he has the ability to do so much. He's not a one-dimensional linebacker. He can do anything that DJ Durkin is going to want him to do. And the beauty in that is that Alex Golesh is handling one of his promises very well at the beginning of the year, at the beginning of his regime here. He made a goal, a promise, if you will, to put much more attention into recruiting on the state level. And you have recruits like Isaac McNeil, like I'm saying, from Mobile. You have Deshaun Hall from Prattville, Marquise Evans from Hoover, Donovan Moore from Bessemer. I mean, there's a team like Miami in Florida who, when you have your top 10 recruits or in the state, Miami has 2 of them. Top 10 players in Alabama, you have 3 of them. 3 of them, which is insane. You are doing exactly what you want to do, which is dominate recruiting on the state level compared to other colleges in the state and other states. However, I'm going to go right back to Isaac McNeil real quick. He has the ability to spread the field, but I also am really excited to see what he's going to look like in 2 to not 3 years, but in a couple years, to see put more weight on him. He can get stronger, faster, and see. I think Isaac McNeil has the possibility to be one of the top linebackers in this conference pretty quickly, to say the least. And speaking of top of the team, top of the conference, I've had some people near me say that Myson Johnson-Cook, as soon as he gets here, is going to dominate the running game for the Auburn Tigers, and I can't help but agree with him. The number 4 player in his state of Illinois, he's from East St. Louis. Who would expect that the Auburn Tigers get a running back like this from Illinois? I mean, this is a guy, I've seen his film. He has an amazing just a way. He has great footwork, has great power, has everything in the package that you want to have in a successful running back. And if you can continue to develop your offensive line to fit someone like Myson Johnson-Cook or other running backs or potentially other quarterbacks, it's going to revolve around the offensive line, which I'll touch on that in a second. But someone like Myson Johnson-Cook is a player who can come in almost immediately and make an impact in your rushing game. And one of the beauties of the recruiting trail so far for the Tigers is the versatility of the recruiting. You have players from Illinois, Leighton Von Brandt, an offensive tackle from Delaware, and then you have someone like James Pace from that Maryland pipeline that you've established, but you also, like I've said, have established dominance in players closer to you. You have a lot of Florida recruits, South Carolina recruits, Georgia recruits, Tennessee recruits. You have players from close and far, which is to have the number 9 class in the nation at this point, before you've even played a single game, before any of these kids have seen the product on the field, to have this kind of outcome is fantastic. And a big reason to have this, especially on the defensive side of the ball, is when you have someone like DJ Durkin, who proved that his defenses can be the best part of a team. We've seen that, especially last year. And instead of taking defensive coordinator positions from better schools or taking head coaching positions from other schools, he decides to stay. He was super humble about it, from what I've heard, has great about it. He talked to Golesh, I want to stay, I want to win. And it's a great thing to have when you have someone like that who is exemplary at their job and is loyal to stay where they're at. And so all flowers to DJ Durkin, and he is doing great things on his side of the ball, on the recruiting trail, on the field, everywhere. Major props to DJ Durkin. Now on the offensive side of the ball, I have mentioned this guy before, but I'm super excited about this guy. It's Deshaun Hall. Deshaun Hall, on 40 receptions, had 660 yards and 5 touchdowns in 2025. This is a guy who, here in a year or two, can be top of the conference in wide receivers. He has all the tools necessary. He has all the tools necessary to be good and to develop. He is 6'5", 185 pounds. So you're really looking at someone like Cam Coleman. Cam, who has that lanky size, who can be a contested specialist, but can also beat anyone in a foot race. This is really your all-in-one package of a wide receiver. Now, one of the things that I haven't really seen be touched on is someone like Deshaun Hall going to be someone who wants to get he's not saying that he wouldn't deserve to have so, but is he going to be the kind of guy to demand receptions, demand the ball when Alex Golesh runs this spread offense where everybody's eating and not just one guy? That is something that we'll have to see. That's something that we have to wait to see. It's not something we can really touch on right now and hope for the best. But that's my spiel really on our recruiting show right now. Number 9 in the nation over teams like Florida, teams like Clemson, Virginia Tech, Ole Miss. You're over Georgia right now, and you are way over Alabama right now. You are doing a great job. Alex Golesh, DJ Durkin, everybody is doing a great job right now. And you can't help but shed a tear when you see how much promise there is in this football team. And just to finish up this first episode of Talkin Tigers with Auburn TFC, I wanted to touch on some of my, power players for the offense and defense this coming season. I mean, like I said, this is going to be a spread offense. You're not going to have anyone demanding the ball as much as anybody else, but Jeremiah Coger and Keyshawn Singleton have been the names to be reoccurring, to continue to show up. These are going to be your standout guys. I'm very excited to see them. Very excited to see them. However, I'm also looking for Sam Turner and Christian Neptune to get receptions, get some work in the backfield, and see what just this overall receiving game can do. Someone like Chaz Nimrod, Bryce Kane, you have so many names that have the potential to be great in so many different sides of the ball. It's great to see that. And that's one of the reasons why Golesh has recruited in the transfer portal the way he has. In the rushing game, I've touched on it. You have Jeremiah Cobb, Bryson Washington, and Omar Mabson, 3 running backs who at any point could come off and have a bunch of yards and not that many scores, or come in have a handful of rushes for 27 yards and catches a touchdown or gets in a goal line touchdown. It's not gonna be one person going off. There's not gonna be really one person going off. This is going to be an offense by committee instead of an offense by one person. And behind all that, I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but Byron Brown is going to be integral with this season. Do I think if he doesn't perform, do I think we have a chance to make a bowl game? Maybe. But Byron Brown is going to be the reason we win almost all of our football games, I think. But speaking of winning football games, one of the only reasons we won any last season was the defense. And on the defensive side of the ball, Xavier Atkins is poised to make a Butkus Award-worthy performance this season, coming off of a season where you just can't explain enough how much he meant to that DJ Durkin defense, how much he meant to the team, to the fandom, how much he meant on the Plains. And with the talk that you've seen, not just from him, but from other people about him, something scary is developing in Auburn, Alabama. Something scary in those weight rooms is developing, on the field is developing, and I can't wait to see it. But other people like Jared Smith, Malik Autry, and Cody Siegler are players that I am expecting to make a leap right now. So these sophomores that I'm expecting to make a leap to take their game to the next level. Last year we had some great players who transferred and who who left. I see this season. I just think I see this season being a chance for everybody on every side of the ball to develop at the perfect time and perfect moment. And these players are so young that they have a chance to make a name for themselves right now, like Jared Smith, Malik Autry, and Cody Seekler. Those are the players on the defensive line and edge that I'm looking at to make a leap. But personally, on the second level of the defense, which I don't know a whole lot about, I'm going to be completely honest, but I do know that I'm excited to watch Eric Winters, and I'm excited to see what he can do in coverage. I'm excited to see what he can do in the box. I'm excited to see what he can do all around the field. I'm excited to see the development that you're going to have from the past seasons, the past season, the off season, the changes that have been made. With all these changes that you're talking about in the offense, the defense has stayed the same. And it has continued that slow uprise, and hopefully that continues. And with that, I just want to say thank you to anyone who watched, anyone who's going to watch when I upload this on YouTube. Thank you for helping me fulfill a dream of mine. And for the first time, thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and follow for more. War Damn TFC.